Hey there, happy day 832 of What's She Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, up in the cabin, chilling with my sisters this weekend, because none of us have been anywhere for months. Actually, the last time I think any of us have been anywhere was up here for my birthday in March, middle of March, March 11th, 12th, 13th, we were up here. And that's kind of when everything hit the fan with respect to COVID-19 and the coronavirus. I don't like calling it coronavirus because I feel so bad for the company and the beer and the brand Corona. It has taken an incredible hit, which is really just a sign of our ignorance as human beings to be confused, and that, you know, we don't like to be confused. So today, my question for you and for myself is tracks, because the idiom we discussed on Supersize Your Business was the wrong side of the tracks. Is there a wrong side of the tracks? Are you from the wrong side of the tracks? Is there a right side of the tracks? What do you do about it? No matter what, no matter where you're born, no matter, you know, we're all born, we all come into this world with pretty much nothing, right? We're born naked and we leave. We usually don't leave naked, but my point is we don't take anything with us. We come in with nothing, we leave with nothing. And what matters to this lifetime and to us and our personal development and our soul is what we do while we're here. It doesn't matter where we're born. And sure, do some people have advantages? We could have a whole debate about that. I'm not interested in debating that because it just is what it is. It's kind of like we're in the middle of this pandemic. We can debate about all kinds of things, where to come from, da-da-da-da. I'm leaving that to the scientists, and then my focus is what are we going to do about it? What am I going to do about it for myself, my family, my business? What are you going to do about it for yourself, for the people you love and care about, and for your occupation, your job, your business? How are you going to let it impact, and how is it impacting your life in all areas of your life? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial. A lot of financial challenges going on for people. With respect to your relationships are another hot spot and a biggie, and all of our relationships are changing. It's really interesting. I go for a walk every day. Now I'm up at the cabin, so I'll go for a walk around the go-kart tracks, so I won't see any people. But normally when I go for a walk, I go downtown to a place called the Dike, and I walk there, and I see lots of people. Much fewer now, but still lots of people. And you can just feel the sense of people are actually acting like they're kind of afraid of other people. It's interesting. I always would go down and see how many people I could smile at and look in the eye and say hello or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time I was there, along the way and along my walks. It was just kind of a fun game for me to see how many people would respond back and how many people would just, you know, walk by with their eyes down and not look at you. And there's just been this overwhelming sense of people are changing, and not necessarily for the good. We're getting, we're going inside of ourselves, and we're being more afraid of other people than we ever have been. And maybe it's not everybody, but it just seems like that when I go out for my walks. Now then, I was actually in a store this week. I was at Sam's Club with my sister and Target, and there's lots of people out and about. They're still, you know, kind of staying away from each other. Some people are just acting like it's just normal and the same, but there's definitely a different feel and vibration in the air than I've ever sensed or felt before. But it also feels like simultaneously things are getting better in some ways. I feel like the sunrises and sunsets, I've just watched the sunrise here, absolutely breathtakingly gorgeous. Now it's a cloudy, yucky day, but the sunrise was amazing. The sunset last night was amazing. So maybe, like everything else, there's going to be a lot of fallout from this. There'll be good and bad, and it's mostly up to us. Sorry about that. And our perspective of how we're going to how we're going to deal with this, how we're going to let it define us. Are we going to let it define us and ruin and destroy us and give us a reason for quitting and not going after our dreams and not doing what we want? Or are we going to take a deep breath and say, okay, this happened, that happened. I've had a lot of instances in my life where I just have to stop where I am, take a huge deep breath and say, okay, yeah, that just happened. Can't really believe that just happened, but that just happened. Oh my God. Now then, it already happened, so there's nothing I can do about it. So I immediately have trained myself to go into, okay, that just happened. What do I need to do now? What do I need to do next? What do I need to think? What do I need to look for? What do I need to follow up on? What can I do with what I've got with this situation right now? And I'm recommending to everybody I come in contact with that they do that same thing. We've had plenty of time now to focus on the problem, right? We all know it's COVID, we all know this, we all know that, we all know how it's impacting each and every one of our lives now. So what are you gonna do about it? What am I gonna do about it? I ask myself every day, this is it, what am I gonna do about the current situation that I'm facing? And then, guess what? I do it, I just go take that action. I'm encouraging you to too. Stop focusing on the problem now, because none of us are going to change the problem, right? None of us are going to be, we've lost our job. My daughter lost her job and was super duper upset. And I'm like, all right, I get it. I've been there. I've definitely been there. Lost my job. I've gotten fired. I've gotten laid off. If you're old enough, this stuff happens to you, right? It didn't kill me. Made me feel really bad, hurt my feelings, made me cry in some instances. But I figured it out. I survived. I didn't stop and then roll up in a little ball and stay there forever. I was like, yeah, that happened. It really sucked, but guess what? What am I going to do now? And then I uncurled, got off the couch, quit eating chips and watching sappy movies and said, all right, that happened. It felt bad. I don't want to feel bad forever. What am I going to do now? And then I just looked for the next thing, and I want you to look for the next thing and ask yourself, what can I do right now? What is the most important thing that I can do right now? It's the most important thing you can do right now. For yourself, number one, if you don't take care of your health, you're hosed. I've got personal experience with that. If you don't take care of your health, it's going to give you a wake-up call. I feel like our world has not been taking care of its health on many areas, and that's part of why things like this happen. I'm sure we'll find there's some insidious plot behind it, but the truth is, it happened. It already happened, right? The COVID virus has already happened. The changes and the things that have been put in place have already happened. Not a thing we can do about that. But we can, each and every one of us, say, okay, yep, that happened. It devastated me. That's the problem. I can focus on the problem and stay stuck here, or I can say, what's the solution? What is the next thing that I can do right now? So do the next thing, right? Please. I think so many people are waiting, and I don't want you to be one of those people that's just waiting and watching. I've been, nagging my kids just like all my coaching students and everybody else. What's the next thing? What's the next thing for you? Yep, that's terrible. I would have been a terrible psychiatrist or counselor, because I always want to get to the solution and solve the problem immediately. I don't want to dwell on all the details and go back and back and back to the problem. Once we identify the problem, the root cause of the problem, we go right to solving that. Root cause of the problem. I lost my business. Let's do my business is shut down. My business is shut down by COVID. I don't know when we're going to open up again. We thought it would be a couple of weeks, and here we are, 6-8 weeks later, and a couple of months, and we're still not open. What are we going to do? Well, now if you've been waiting all this time just for your business to open up and go back to normal, you need to start running to catch up, because as businesses are opening up, several states have started to open up different type businesses, which is super exciting for some of us. I can't wait for my nail salon to open up again, my hair salon to open up again. And those are businesses and industries that should probably be open. I am horrified that chronic pain patients and people in the medical industry cannot get the medical treatment that they need because they're considered non-essential. Are you kidding me? When the hospitals and, we've had time to prep now, the hospitals are ready. People need to have medical care. People are still having heart attacks. People are still having nervous breakdowns, probably more so than ever. People are still having, things happen to them, arms broken and need stitches and have to go to the hospital, yet the hospitals are laying people off. It's some things aren't making sense. We've had time now for the supply chains to be filling the gaps. The fact that we still can't get certain things like toilet paper and now meat are not because of the coronavirus. They're because we didn't have the systems and the processes and the procedures in place that we needed to take care of the fluctuations in demand. Granted, this is a huge demand, and we couldn't have anticipated this much demand, but over time we could have. We should have been looking at, and this is the system person in me who is involved in the USDA, the way the meatpacking plants have handled this, the way everything, and letting their people get sick is unconscionable for a lot of reasons, which I could probably talk for an hour or more about easily. So I won't. I will spare you that. But a lot of the things that are going on are preventable, but each and every one of us need to be figuring out what do I need to do differently to move forward and to keep moving toward what it is that I want for myself, for my family. We get to re-look at and re-examine our priorities. And I've done a lot of that. I've re-examined where certain things fall in my life. I have made relationships a heck of a lot more important than they were before. And I invite you to do the same thing. Each and every one of us need to do that. And I do that every so often, not as often as I should, but I look at all of the 7 areas of our life. I learned from Tony Robbins decades ago, literally decades ago, that there's 7 areas of our life that we should pay attention to. Now, I will admit, I was guilty of not paying attention to some of them for a lot of years. And guess what? I got personal wake-up calls, personal dramatic wake-up calls to remind me to pay attention to those things. And right now, we're all getting a huge wake-up call to readjust and shift our priorities and really re-examine and decide what is really important to you. Is it working 80 hours a week? Because that was me. I used to work all the time thinking I was providing for my family, and it was really a big realization. And I don't know why, probably because I took after my dad, and he was a workaholic and was gone a lot, and we knew he loved us, all of us girls, but he was always gone, and we would have just liked him to be around to spend more time with us. And I realized that I had repeated that same pattern when my kids did the 5 love language quiz a couple weeks, it was a week ago now, and informed me that quality time was their #1 love language, and that was the exact opposite of what I was giving them, and that gifts were down at like 3%. So me trying to work all the time and provide a good life for them, to get them all the gifts and toys and fun and things that I thought they deserved and wanted and needed, was like 0 and 3% versus the high percentages for quality time. So that was an awakening for me, and it's allowed me and made me look at and shift my priorities around a lot and say, yep, what I'm doing right now is not nearly as important as talking to my son, talking to my daughter, spending time with my granddaughter. And if nothing else, that's one of the gifts of this pandemic, is that many of us will reevaluate our priorities. We will change the way we're thinking about our lives and what we're doing every single day and are we making the world a better place, or are we just contributing to the problems and the challenges that the world is currently facing? So that was my rant about COVID-19, I guess, and the pandemic. Again, wrong side of the tracks was the idiom for supersize your business. I have not thought of what I'm going to do. I need to do a Get Up and Go challenge. The Get Up and Go challenge is coming back on Monday. It'll be a 5-day challenge. And if I was to say I had it all planned out and mapped out in my head, I would be lying. I've done so many challenges that I'll figure it out this weekend. That's one good thing about being up at the cabin. Very few, if any, interruptions. And since everything's shut down, it's not like we girls could go shopping and do the things that we normally do when we're up here at the cabin. So I think that I'll have plenty of time to focus on and think about that. I'm also in a 30-day reading challenge to read 30 books in 30 days. And whether you've been seeing me for a long time or this is the first time you've seen me, I am legally blind. And so this is a real challenge for me personally. And I like those. I'm loving this challenge. I'll admit, there's days I'm like super frustrated and I'm like, how the heck am I going to get this done? How am I going to get this book done? Especially one that I can't find and get access to electronically or audibly in terms of an audiobook. And I'm not an audiobook fan because I don't want to read every word of the book. I want to pick and choose what's important for me. And that's one of the biggest, most important skills that I'm acquiring in this challenge. And I have to thank Abil for doing it. And I encourage you to check her out and look her up. I will find the link and share it because it sounds like a daunting challenge and she's a little frustrated because there's not people in it with her. But I get the same way in my challenges. But I found that the longer the challenge is, the less likely you are to, number one, get people to even say yes to it in the first place. And number two, to actually do it. But here's the thing. If you enter a 30-day challenge and you only make it to day 7 or 10, I don't care. I'm excited that you made it to say day 7 or 10 because guess what? You are now 7 or 10 days closer to that skill that you wanted to acquire by joining that longer challenge. That's why I load all the super good juicy stuff up front, but I also keep it every day. I think is super juicy, right? I just did a 30-day Get Up and Go challenge. If you don't know what to do and you're struggling and stressed out right now, go check out that challenge. It's on the Get Up and Go Challenge Facebook page. The videos are all there. Go watch them. Give yourself the gift of figuring this out and making the most of this pandemic and always knowing what to do. Because guess what? Those are skills that you will use for your entire life. They're not just something that you learn and then you never do anything with. Because each day has an action step, and once you do it, you own it, right? You've experienced it. Once you have an experience, nobody can take that experience away from you, right? It's the best way to learn experientially because you internalize it then. And when we internalize things, they become a part of us. So Get Up and Go Challenge, a 5-day version is starting on Monday. So just the 5 juiciest parts, and I'll think of how I want to do it, but I'll do a video every day between now and then, which is today and tomorrow, to introduce people to it. Again, it's all about you and what you need and what you want and how you're going to get up and go forward from this challenge, this huge challenge that's affecting all of us globally. And then Fun Day Challenge today was about nonsense. Now, I personally am not a very nonsense-oriented person, although I'm finding with my granddaughter it's a lot more fun to talk about magic and fantasy and let her imagination run wild, which most people would consider nonsense. You know, I can just hear my ex-husband, that's just nonsense. And I remember talking about when she's always told stories ever since she was little. She would make up stories. She was like 2 and could barely talk, and she was telling us about the werewolves and things that were camping, and that there were wolves when she was camping, and we're like, how do you even know what wolves are? So she's always been a storyteller, but it's fascinating. And other people might think it's nonsense, but I think it's absolutely amazing and magical to listen to children's imaginations. And it reminds me that I used to be like that too. I used to have a great imagination and write crazy stories that people told me were stupid because I couldn't spell princess right when I was in 3rd grade. And that's amazing how fast we shut down people's joy and energy and imagination. And so I want to make sure that she keeps that and goes with that as long as possible, and that she's not getting that shut down by me. Other people are going to shut it down on her anyway, so I'm going to make sure I'm not the one that does that. What else have I got today? That is about it. Like I said, I'm at the cabin, going to have a good time with my sisters, even if we're just here bowling and having a good time, you know, eating malts and drinking wine. That would be awesome, because, you know, I'm such a big drinker. I can have one and I'm done. One and done, right? One and done. That should be my motto. That's it. If I can help you in any way, please ask. You know, if you don't know what to do next, no matter what your situation, I might not know the answer, but I can help you pull the answer out of yourself. I think that's one of my superpowers, is helping people to pull what they need to do next out of themselves, so that they are consciously aware of it and then will actually do it. So if you need help with anything like that, just ask in the comments below. If you need help taking your business from the offline world to the online world, that's my specialty as well. I help hundreds and hundreds of businesses to do that. And now more than ever, I've always been preaching that everybody should have a side business or a side hustle no matter what. And the people that have had that are sitting much better off than the people that don't. And they'll tell you, the businesses that have an online component are much better prepared and are doing much better during this transition than those that don't. And I'll continue to say that probably till the day that I die, and help people to do that. That's it. Have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye.